Our final lecture on locating Tibet engages with an essay written by Elliot Sperling, in which he challenges Chinese language names and their meanings of Tibet. This week, we've discussed several options for defining Tibet. Two options were given to us by Euro-Americans, a priest and a scholar. Although there are indeed natural boundaries and common climates that bind Tibet as a place and Tibetans as a people, geographic definitions of Tibet are full of limitations. Dalton's use of the pillar inscriptions provided us with a religious, cultural imagining of Tibet, but one that was conceived of nearly a millennium ago and would not satisfy many people in 21st century audiences. Sperling critiques another option, the one provided by China. A Baidu, and Baidu is a kind of equivalent to Google in China. So a Baidu search of Tibet's geographic location, and that's Chinese above, provides a window into how Tibet is understood and meant to be understood in China. Essentially, the search provided colorful images of Tibetan people and maps, such as those we see on this slide, that essentially isolate Tibet into the Tibet Autonomous Region. The Chinese term for Tibet is Xizang, and indeed, it is the term that only describes the Tibet Autonomous Region. But what about other areas that are culturally Tibetan? How about Tibetan people? There are no official terms, meaning terms that are sanctioned by the government, used to describe the vastness of Tibet. Xizang, or the Tibet Autonomous Region, is but central Tibet, or Uzang, and a very, very small portion of Kham. Therefore, the Chinese term for Tibetans, or literally the people of Tibet, is also inadequate because it does not discern between the different ethnic groups that live in the region. Anyone living in the Tibet Autonomous Region could be called a person of Tibet, or Xizangren. Furthermore, the term Tibetan nationality, or Zangzu, places these people in a political box, and a box not created by the people and cultures in question. We should ask ourselves why then? Why is Xizang used? A cursory check of Chinese sources show that Chinese authors were capable of and willing to transliterate Tibet into the Chinese language. Xizang, for example, is not used in the 10th century Book of Tang or the Jiu Tang Shu. A Qing dynasty document uses Tubote instead of Xizang, and soldiers of the People's Liberation Army, or the PLA, in the 1950s noted that the terms used to describe Tibetans were used outside of central Tibet. Throughout this quarter, I will attempt to convince you that these discussions are important and relevant even today. Our guest for today's edition of Why Does It Matter is Bojack Horseman. So, why does it matter? This discussion matters because language is power. The terms we use to name things, places, people also influence the ways we perceive and understand them. This point is especially true if these terms were not created or agreed upon by a particular group in question, such as the Tibetans. By simply saying Xizang, we are letting non-Tibetans control how Tibet and its people are understood. Here are the main takeaways from this week. 1. Non-Tibetans have attempted to find Tibet for centuries. The accounts they've written, the maps they've drawn, and the images they prepared have, for better or worse, shaped our own understandings of the region. We need to engage these sources with a critical eye. 2. Geopolitical definitions, in other words, maps with boundaries and borders, which have shifted and changed many times over history, largely fail to capture the complexity of Tibet as a place and the people who inhabit it. Therefore, 3. Understanding the cultures of Tibet, including the language, religion, etc., may provide us with the best tools for locating Tibet and forming a comprehensive understanding of it.